So I recently got out to Busch Gardens Williamsburg, and I must say, I was blown away. Not from the coasters. I mean, obviously the coasters are great, but that's besides the point. But I was blown away from the theming, immersion, food, everything. And I'm going to break down why BGW, a park I had almost no expectations for, turned out to be just as good as its neighbor, Kings Dominion, which I think is really, really good. Let's start off with the coasters. Obviously, I mean, what else would I start off with? Food? By far my favorite coaster at the park is the new for 2022 Intamin Multi-Launch Pantheon. I had pretty unreasonable expectations for Pantheon because I like launch coasters along with Icebreaker, and Icebreaker's pretty similar, and was very surprised when the expectations were fulfilled and then some. I'm definitely making a review on this, but to keep it short, Pantheon's triple launches have an end kick to them, making them great. The stall was huge and obviously amazing. The top hat into that 95-degree drop is good, along with the outer bank and sustain stall. Wait, I just said stall, that makes no sense. Anyway, it's just a great coaster and cracked my top 10. My next favorite coaster of BGW is Alpengeist. I again had pretty low expectations for this, but it turned out to be my favorite invert, and I don't think that's going to change anytime soon because there aren't too many American inverts that I think will be better than it. Yeah, I know it's really unpopular, but its elements have so much kick to them, despite being so drawn out, and it's because of the scale of the invert. I mean, look at it, it's literally almost a hyper. The mid-course actually helps in my opinion, because the second half's elements have so much hang time. Not to mention the secluded setting and the well-themed trenches. And the Cobra Bowl, that was amazing. It's just a really underrated Tier 1 ride for me. My third favorite in the park was actually Griffin. I don't want to talk about this ride because it's just a dive coaster, but here it is in one sentence. It has the original great over-the-shoulder dive coaster restraints, has two mid-inversions, and the drops are weaker than SheiKra's. I thought it was good, but SheiKra is just a better version of it. The final coaster of the Big Four is Apollo's Chariot. Look at the setting of the ride, it's great. It has a decent layout, but I don't care about B&M hypers that don't give good airtime. If it's hill after hill after hill with no airtime, that's a boring ride, and that would be Apollo's Chariot. However, Apollo really gets saved by the twisted dives next to the river or whatever, and that final hill was actually really good. I think we've established that the Big Four at BGW are great, so I'm going to talk about the supporting cast. The supporting coasters I rode were Verbolten, Tempesto, and Vader, and thinking about it, that's really it. Verbolten was an amazing family coaster, had some decent launches, good indoor section, and then the drop track into the drop. Great family coaster. Then Invader was alright, I guess. It had a noticeable rattle, but pulled some decent forces occasionally, the normal rough woody. And Tempesto was a Skyrocket too that was alright. That's really all I gotta say. Now let's move on to... My collection of BGW is amazing. I only rode two, but they were the very best of their kind. Mach Tower was one of the world's largest drop towers, but it also gives you the Windseeker vibe with a slow panoramic view of the beautiful BGW skyline. Then, well, you drop. Yeah. The other one we rode was Finnegan's Flyer, the world's largest S&S Screamin' Swing. If you don't know what that is, it's just a giant swing. Pretty self-explanatory, right? I know it's only two flat rides, but at least they are top-tier non-clones. Yeah, it's a rare feat nowadays. Okay, I'm gonna just do a quick section on other rides because I want to review Escape from Pompeii. It was more of a dark ride than a water ride, and had some great fire effects and near misses, and the drop was fun, I guess. Now that I'm done with that, let's move on to the... Like I said in my Karen's review, the little things are just as important as the coasters. These things include ops, food, theming, cleanliness, layout, etc. The ops were hit or miss. Has literally anyone ever said that? Because it sounds really weird, but it's actually true in this case. Most of the ops were great. They were nice, pumping out trains, all the good stuff. But there's one really bad crew on Tempesto. Like, I'm talking no row requests and 3-minute dispatches during the day. I mean, yeah, they have seatbelts, but 3 minutes and 9 rows? Come on. Just watch out for those few, I guess. The food was no joke actually amazing, like actual Italian food in a theme park. Decently made pretzels and some classic soft serve. And I got a piece of that. Moving on to theming. I know a common misconception is the world's most beautiful park is voted that way because of the landscaping or whatever, and that may be a small part of it, but most of it was definitely the immersive countries in the park. Italy ride-wise is my favorite land, but many people might like France or even the New France joke that they have going with Canada, but I'm still calling it New France. I personally like France the best. Part about the countries aren't the rides, but the theming and culture that backs them up. God, I feel like a poet. I bet y'all would buy one of those posters or something, I don't know. Alright, moving on to cleanliness. Like I said, the cleanliness slash landscaping on this park is above average, but not out of this world like some expect. Just a quick heads up. Also, one last thing for this section, the layout actually sucks. I don't know what the hell the creators of the Busch Gardens parks were on when they finalized those blueprints, but it's so hard to find things in one gigantic confusing loop with like some jutting out webs. It was actually so annoying. Luckily, there was a ferry to sightsee and get around the park. Anyway, time to talk about the... Alright, like I mentioned in my Carowinds review, the on-site hotels are awesome when you have that option, or terrible if you don't. With BGW, since you're in a colonial city like Williamsburg, there isn't much of a problem not having on-site hotels because of all the things to do there. I'm sure there are hotels with a 15-minute distance, but this is the one park I say it really doesn't matter. If you want to know where I stayed at the Hampton Inn, about 30 minutes away driving distance, but again, it's really not a big deal. Overall, that is Busch Gardens Williamsburg. Hopefully this helped you determine whether or not to plan your visit, I guess. I don't know. You get the point. Well, that'll do it for BGW. Oh, and also, leave your questions in the comments below. See you in the next one. Later.